Hello, esteemed gentlemen. Childhood doesn't build men. It breaks them first and watches who rebuilds without instructions. Pause on that for a second. Because here's a cold fact. Studies show that boys who grow up in unstable homes are 4x more likely to either repeat the chaos or burn the entire script and go off-grid. Most people think brutal childhoods create broken men, addicts, or criminals. But what they don't tell you is that some boys quietly sharpen their mind in the ruins and come out colder, quieter, and harder to control than anyone expected. They don't become heroes. They don't become villains. They become ghosts walking among us, highly intelligent, impossible to predict, and allergic to every rule society forces on men. They become Sigma males. And here's the punchline nobody laughs at. While everyone else is busy playing the popularity game, these men are building silent empires no one claps for. Because applause was never the goal. So today, we're ripping the mask off this story. Forget the fairy tales about pain making you stronger. This is about how brutal childhoods forge boys into lone wolves who don't ask for respect. They take it without ever raising their voice. Buckle up. This is going to be uncomfortable and strangely freeing. Number 1. They turned childhood wounds into a secret weapon, not a victim badge. Most people carry their childhood wounds like open cuts, hoping someone will notice and give them sympathy. They wear their pain like a badge that says, "Look what I've been through." But Sigma males don't do that. They don't parade their suffering around for attention or pity. Instead, they take that same pain and turn it into something useful, something sharp, hidden, and strategic. Their childhood didn't give them comfort, so they learned how to make discomfort their fuel. And when life hit them hard, they didn't sit around asking why it happened. They asked how they could use it. That's the difference most people will never understand. A Sigma male isn't walking around acting tough because he wants approval. He's walking around silent because his toughness was built in the dark where no one clapped for him. The world told him he was nothing, and instead of breaking, he turned into someone the world couldn't predict. He doesn't wear his childhood wounds on his sleeve for the world to poke at. He tucks them away where no one can reach them, but he never forgets they're there. Those wounds are reminders, tools, and sometimes warnings. While most people waste years complaining about who hurt them, Sigma males weaponize the lessons. They take betrayal and learn how to spot a liar in 2 seconds. They take abandonment and learn how to thrive alone. They take rejection and build projects, empires, and legacies that outlive their pain. Not because they're trying to prove something to the world, but because they refuse to let their suffering go to waste. And here's what really sets them apart. No one would know they've been through hell unless they told you. They don't brag about the scars. They don't play the victim. And they don't wait for healing to give them permission to move forward. In their world, you heal while building, you hurt while succeeding, you suffer, but you make that suffering pay rent. Pain is never the excuse to stop, it's the reason to start. Sigma males don't hide their wounds because they're scared. They hide them because the world doesn't deserve access to their deepest battles, and that privacy is power. Number 2, they learn to make pain pay rent. Most people go through pain and leave empty-handed. They suffer, cry, and complain. And when it's over, they're still the same person, just more bitter and tired. But Sigma males, they refuse to go through hell for free. If they're going to suffer, something valuable better come out of it. Pain has to pay rent. Otherwise, what's the point? Sigma males don't see suffering as some noble, tragic event. They see it as a transaction. Life hits you? Fine. But you don't walk away broke. You walk away with lessons that others missed. You walk away smarter, colder, and sharper than before. Where others see pain as a wound, they see it as raw material. You don't waste raw material. You build something with it. When life betrayed them, they learned how trust really works. When they were left alone, they figured out how to rely on their own mind. When they failed, they dissected why, rewired their approach, and came back deadlier. They don't let pain pass through them without leaving something useful behind. That's the rent. That's the price pain pays for showing up in their life. And here's the brutal part. They're not thankful for the pain. They don't romanticize suffering or call it a blessing. They hate it, but they respect what it teaches. They don't wish for suffering to stop. They wish to become so strong that even if it keeps coming, it no longer owns them. That mindset is rare. Most people wait for pain to end so they can feel alive again. Sigma males build a life where pain and progress coexist, and neither stops the other. So while others sit around saying, "Why me?" Sigma males quietly ask, "What next?" They're not drowning in the storm. They're taking notes on how it moves. Every scar is an unpaid debt that gets collected in wisdom. Every heartbreak is converted into a lesson on boundaries. And every loss becomes fuel for their next silent win. Sigma males don't suffer quietly because they're weak. They suffer strategically because pain has rent to pay, and they collect on it. Number 3. They grew up knowing safety was a mirage. For most kids, safety is a given. A safe home, safe parents, safe routines. They believe the world is built to protect them. But Sigma males never had that illusion. From a young age, they saw firsthand that safety is temporary at best and fake at worst. The people who were supposed to protect them? Unreliable. The homes that should have been a shelter? War zones. The comfort zones most boys grew up in. Sigma males never had one. Instead of waiting for the world to protect them, they learned to protect themselves from the inside out. When the outside world felt like fire, they built cold, clear fortresses in their mind. Their thoughts became their refuge. Their decisions became their armor, and their silence became their safest room, where chaos couldn't touch them. This isn't some poetic survival story, it's raw survival logic. If your home can turn violent without warning, you stop trusting walls and start trusting your instincts. If the people closest to you can betray you, you stop placing your heart in their hands. Sigma males figured out early that if they didn't build inner stability, the outside world would eat them alive. And it didn't stop with childhood. Even as adults, they walk through life knowing safety is a moving target. Jobs aren't secure. Relationships aren't guaranteed. Society's promises fall apart when you need them most. But instead of falling into anxiety or paranoia, Sigma males lean into this reality. They accept that uncertainty is the default setting of life. And because they expect nothing to be safe, they prepare for everything. What you see on the outside, a calm, composed, distant man, is just the product of years spent building a mind that chaos can't crack. He doesn't need a safe environment to feel grounded. He brings his own safety wherever he goes. Other people need vacations, therapists, or distractions to feel okay. Sigma males just need a quiet room in their own mind. The world taught them early. Safety is a myth. But stability? That's something you build. And Sigma males build it where no one else can take it from them, inside. Number 4. They witnessed love as a transaction, not a gift. For most kids, love is supposed to be simple. You exist, you're loved. You mess up, you're still loved. But for Sigma males, love was never a gift freely given. It was a transaction. Smile the right way, obey the rules, suppress your feelings, and maybe you'd earn a little affection. But slip up, show weakness, or speak your truth. Love disappeared like it was never there. This brutal lesson cuts deep and early. They saw love dangled like a prize and yanked away as punishment. They learned that affection came with fine print and hidden fees. And when you grow up in that kind of emotional economy, one truth becomes clear. Love can't be trusted. At least not the kind you were offered. So they stopped chasing it. Not out of bitterness, but out of clarity. They realized that if love was going to be a tool other people used to control them, they were better off without it. Instead of begging for connection, they mastered solitude. Instead of craving affection, they built peace in their own company. This wasn't loneliness, it was freedom from emotional blackmail. Most people spend their lives chasing love that looks like their childhood, conditional, confusing, and inconsistent. Sigma males break that cycle. They don't let childhood wounds dictate their adult relationships. They build a life where being alone isn't something to fear, it's something to protect. And ironically, it's this emotional self-sufficiency that makes them magnetic. People can't figure out why they're so calm, why they're so hard to manipulate, why they don't jump through hoops for attention. It's simple. They've already faced life without love and survived. They aren't scared of it anymore. Love, to them, is a bonus, not a necessity. If it comes, It has to be real, unconditional, and free from games. If it doesn't come, they're not losing sleep. They'd rather be alone with their peace than entangled in conditional affection. Sigma males were forced to learn early what most people learn too late. Love, when used as a weapon, isn't love at all, and once you stop depending on it, you stop being controlled by it. Number 5. They had to make adult decisions before their brain finished growing. Most kids get to be kids. They make mistakes, play games, and slowly figure out life with the safety net of adults cleaning up after them. But Sigma males, they didn't get that luxury. While other boys were worried about school crushes or video games, Sigma males were calculating how to survive the next day, pay the bills or go hungry, calm down a violent parent or watch the house explode into chaos, protect a younger sibling or lose them to the streets. They were forced into decisions no child should have to make. And because their brain wasn't fully developed, they didn't have the emotional tools to process the weight of those choices. But life didn't care. So they made the decisions anyway. Sometimes they were right, sometimes they were wrong. But every choice carved strategy into their brain and stripped away their innocence in the process. This is why Sigma males think differently from others. They didn't learn life's lessons in classrooms, they learned them in survival mode. When most people are still fumbling through their 20s trying to find themselves, Sigma males have already built mental blueprints for danger, betrayal, and survival. They analyze life like a chessboard because they had to move pieces while they were still kids. But there's a cost. They never got to be carefree. They never had the wide-eyed belief that life is fair or that adults have it all figured out. Their childhood didn't just end early, it never really happened. They aged mentally at twice the speed, but the scars from rushing that growth stayed with them. As men, this shows up in how they handle life. They're calm under pressure because pressure is all they knew. They don't panic when responsibilities pile up because responsibilities built them. But they also carry a loneliness that most people can't see. Not sadness, just a quiet realization that they never got to be small, never got to be held up by someone stronger. Sigma males learned to hold themselves up when no one else did. And in that brutal crash course of early adulthood, they traded their childhood for strategy and their innocence for independence. Number 6. They stopped believing in rescue stories. As kids, most people hold on to this quiet hope that someone will save them. A hero will show up. A kind teacher will notice their pain. A family member will finally care enough to change everything. But for Sigma males, that rescue never came. No helping hand, no magical moment where life got easier. Just long days of figuring it out alone and long nights of realizing no one was coming. They learned painfully early that if they didn't save themselves, they wouldn't be saved at all. And that realization changes a person forever. While others grew up still waiting for someone to fix their life, Sigma males became the person who fixes it. They stopped looking at the door, hoping it would open. They built their own exit and walked through it alone. This is why they don't romanticize life. They don't believe in fairy tale endings or overnight miracles. They trust effort, strategy, and silence, not hope. Hope is fine, but it doesn't feed you when you're hungry or protect you when things fall apart. So they stopped waiting and started acting, slowly, quietly, relentlessly. And here's the thing that most people don't get. Sigma males don't hate people for not saving them. They don't walk around bitter or angry. They're just done expecting people to do what they couldn't. They've outgrown the story where someone sweeps in to make things better. Now, if help comes, great. If it doesn't, life goes on. This mindset made them emotionally bulletproof. Rejection doesn't break them because they never counted on acceptance to begin with. Abandonment doesn't destroy them because they built a life that no one else can take away. They aren't looking for heroes. They became one for themselves. And maybe the saddest, most powerful part of all? No one will ever know how many battles they fought alone. No one will know the nights they faced fears in silence, the days they carried burdens twice their size, and they're fine with that. They're not doing it for applause. Sigma males stopped waiting to be rescued, and in doing so, they rescued the only thing that mattered, their mind. Number 7, they built invisible fortresses around their mind. Most people wear their emotions like open wounds, hoping someone notices and offers comfort. They talk about their struggles, post their pain online, and wear their sadness like a badge. But Sigma males took a different path. They realized early on that vulnerability isn't always safe. Show your pain to the wrong person, and they'll use it against you. So they stopped showing it at all. But don't mistake that for emotional weakness. Sigma males didn't bury their emotions to run from them. They built walls, not to hide from pain, but to control access to it. Their mind became a fortress with one entrance, and they held the only key. Most people give anyone a front row seat to their emotions. Sigma males carefully decide who even gets through the gate, and most people don't. Inside, they feel everything, sometimes deeper than anyone else. But you'll never know when they're hurting. You'll never see the cracks unless they want you to. And honestly, most of the time they don't. They learn that the world isn't entitled to their struggles, that privacy is power, and that some pain is better kept where it's safe, in their own mind. This is why Sigma males seem calm when others would fall apart. They've already broken down behind those walls, processed the chaos, and rebuilt quietly. By the time the world sees them, they're already past the crisis. They're not ice-cold robots, they're just not on display. And there's another reason for those walls. Strategy. Sigma males don't want to be read like an open book. If people can predict how you feel, they can control you. If people know what hurts you, they can exploit you. So Sigma males keep their true emotions quiet, not dead, just guarded. It's not about being distant. It's about having boundaries so strong that no one storms your mind unless invited. And few people ever are. Because in a world addicted to oversharing, Sigma males choose the rarest power of all, emotional control without external validation. They feel, they suffer, they grow, but they do it behind walls no one can tear down. And that's why they stay unshaken when the world burns around them. Number 8. They developed an addiction to clarity because chaos was their normal. When you grow up in chaos, your mind craves order like a starving man craves food. For Sigma males, childhood wasn't peaceful or predictable. It was messy, unstable, and constantly shifting beneath their feet. One day might feel safe, the next could explode without warning. People lied, rules changed overnight, and nothing ever stayed steady. In that kind of environment, you either get swallowed by confusion, or you start craving clarity so badly that it becomes your oxygen. That's exactly what happened. Sigma males developed an obsession with clarity, not because they're perfectionists, but because they've already lived through the exhaustion of uncertainty. They know what it's like to wake up every day not knowing if the people they love will be kind or cruel, if home will be peaceful or a war zone. That kind of unpredictability robs you of your childhood and forces you to create mental order where none exists. So now, as men, they chase clarity in every area of life. Clear goals, because drifting through life reminds them too much of the chaos they escaped. Clear relationships, because mixed signals feel like childhood manipulation. Clear intentions, because they've been burned too many times by people who said one thing and did another. Even clear escape routes, because safety still feels temporary, and they're wired to know how to leave a bad situation before it explodes. This obsession with clarity isn't about controlling everything. It's about protecting their peace. When things are clear, they can relax. When people are honest, they can finally lower their guard, if only slightly. But the moment things get foggy or inconsistent, they pull back fast. They don't have the patience for confusion because they've already spent too many years drowning in it. And unlike others, they don't wait for clarity to show up. They create it. If a relationship feels confusing, they step away. If a goal feels vague, they sharpen it. If their life feels chaotic, they cut out the noise. Most people tolerate confusion, hoping it will sort itself out. Sigma males don't. Confusion reminds them of their past, and they refuse to go back there. For them, clarity isn't just helpful, it's survival. It's the calm in a world that once taught them that storms come without warning. Number 9. They stopped hoping to be understood. Most people spend their lives hoping someone will understand them, fully, deeply, without judgment. They crave that one person who gets their struggles, their quirks, their silence. Sigma males gave up on that dream early, not out of bitterness, but out of experience. Too many times they tried to explain themselves, and what did it get them? Misinterpretation, dismissal, pity, or worse, people pretending to understand only to twist that knowledge against them later. So they stopped trying. They realized that being fully understood is rare, almost impossible, and honestly, overrated. People want to understand you so they can feel comfortable around you, not because they truly care about your depths. Sigma males figured that out early and walked away from the game. Instead of explaining themselves to the world, they let the world guess, and they love that. Because in mystery, there's safety. When people don't fully understand you, they can't control you. They can't predict your next move. They can't hurt you where it matters most. Sigma males realized that being misunderstood creates distance, and distance keeps them safe. It gives them the space to think clearly, act freely, and live without constantly managing other people's perceptions. And here's the thing. Most people are terrified of being misunderstood. It makes them feel alone. But Sigma males, they thrive in it. They've made peace with solitude. They've accepted that most people will never see the full picture, and they don't need them to. They've got their own mind, their own path, and that's enough. Even in relationships, they're not looking for someone to complete them. They're looking for someone who respects the parts they'll never fully reveal. Someone who doesn't need every answer, who doesn't poke at every scar. But they've stopped expecting even that. If it happens, fine. If not, life goes on. So while the world talks endlessly, trying to be seen, Sigma males quietly walk away from the spotlight. Let them misunderstand, let them guess. Sigma males aren't playing for approval, they're playing for freedom. And nothing protects your freedom better than keeping most of yourself hidden where no one else can reach it. Number 10. They grew up watching hypocrisy win, and learned to wear masks without losing their core. Sigma males didn't grow up believing that the best rise to the top. They watched as liars got rewarded, bullies got followers, and hypocrites got praised. They saw teachers who broke their own rules, parents who preached love but lived cruelty, and leaders who talked about fairness but played favorites. Early on they realized the world wasn't a meritocracy. It was a stage, and whoever played the role best often won. But instead of getting bitter, Sigma males got smart. They learned how to wear the right mask when the situation demanded it, but never let that mask become their identity. They could smile at the boss they didn't respect, blend in with crowds they didn't belong to, and nod along with conversations they found shallow. Not because they were fake, but because survival sometimes means hiding your real self until it's safe to show it. This ability to wear masks without losing their core is rare. Most people either lose themselves trying to fit in, or rebel so hard they become isolated and bitter. Sigma males do neither. They adapt outwardly but stay rooted inwardly. Their values don't change just because the room does. They might play along, but they're always watching, always analyzing, always waiting for their moment to move quietly in a different direction. And they never confuse the act for the truth. Just because someone is loud doesn't mean they're wise. Just because someone is praised doesn't mean they deserve it. Sigma males grew up seeing the world reward performance over substance, and rather than fight it head-on, they learned to navigate it. They learned when to speak and when silence was the smarter move, when to lead and when to disappear. But here's the part most people miss. The mask is a tool, not a home. Sigma males don't wear it longer than they have to. Once they're in their own space, it comes off. They don't lose themselves in the performance because they never believed it was real in the first place. While others are busy becoming the mask they wear, Sigma males remain anchored to who they are, watching the show, playing the game when necessary, but never mistaking it for life itself. Number 11. They were forced to become their own emotional parent. For most kids, when life gets scary, they run to someone stronger. A parent, a teacher, a friend, someone who says, "It's going to be okay." Someone who helps them calm down, process their feelings, and feel safe again. But Sigma males didn't have that. When life hit them with fear, confusion, or anger, there was no one waiting with comfort. no one who could regulate their storms. So they had to figure out how to do it themselves, and that's not natural for a child. A child isn't supposed to be both the frightened kid and the calming adult. But Sigma males didn't have a choice. Their minds split in two roles. One side scared and overwhelmed. The other side saying, "Okay, breathe, get through this, what's the next step?" This shaped them in ways most people can't relate to. While others learned emotional regulation through guidance, they built it alone, brick by brick. They became experts at self-soothing decision-making under pressure, and carrying their emotional weight without dumping it on anyone else. They couldn't afford breakdowns. They didn't have the luxury of waiting for someone else to save them. Over time, this made them emotionally self-reliant in a way few people ever achieve. They don't collapse when life gets hard. They switch into problem-solving mode. They don't spiral when overwhelmed. They compartmentalize, analyze, and act. People mistake this for coldness, but it's survival. You can't afford to drown in emotion when you're the only one keeping yourself afloat. But this also comes with a quiet cost. Very few people ever see the vulnerable side of a Sigma male, not because it doesn't exist, but because it's been managed so tightly for so long. They've learned to deal with their storms alone, so letting someone else in feels foreign, risky, unnecessary. Even in adulthood, when they're fully capable men, that child inside still whispers sometimes, but unlike others, they don't silence it. They parent it, calm it, control it, and then move forward without showing the world the struggle behind their steady face. Sigma males didn't grow up emotionally safe, so they built safety inside their own mind. And that fortress of self-reliance? It's why no storm on the outside can ever truly shake them. Number 12. Their dreams were mocked or ignored, so they stopped sharing them. For most kids, sharing a dream feels exciting. They run to their parents, teachers, or friends hoping to hear, "That's amazing, you can do it." But Sigma males learned early that opening their mouth about what they wanted only led to two reactions: mockery or silence. Either their dreams were laughed at as impossible, or they were met with cold indifference that stung even worse than criticism. Over time, they figured out the ugly truth. Most people aren't interested in your dreams. They're just waiting for you to fail so they can feel better about their small lives. So they stopped sharing, not because they stopped dreaming, but because they realized their dreams deserve protection, not applause. Instead of wasting energy convincing people to believe in them, they poured that energy into quietly building what they imagined. No announcements, no hype, just silent, relentless work. And it's not because they're afraid of being judged anymore. They simply don't care if people get it. Childhood taught them that most people only understand things once they're finished, once they're proven. So they stopped seeking permission before starting. They realized your vision doesn't need to make sense to anyone but you. This is why Sigma males seem like they come out of nowhere with success, skill, or mastery. People think it happened overnight, but they missed the years spent in silence, building brick by brick when no one was looking. What others called obsession, Sigma males called focus. What others called isolation, they called preparation. And when their empire is finally visible, they don't seek validation. They knew from the beginning that no one clapped during the process, so why should they care about applause now? They didn't build to be praised. They built to be free. Most people still waste time explaining their dreams, hoping someone will finally understand. Sigma males gave up on that. They understood early that approval is cheap, and most people only support you when it's safe, not when it's risky. So they chose the harder, lonelier path, the one where your dream stays safe inside you until it's strong enough to stand on its own. And when it does, it speaks for itself. So when people look at Sigma males and wonder why they move differently, why they're so distant, so private, so unshaken, it's because they had no other choice. Their childhood didn't give them comfort, safety, or applause. It gave them reality, raw and unforgiving. And instead of breaking under it, they built themselves around it. They stopped waiting for someone to fix them, love them, or understand them. They stopped chasing safe spaces and started creating mental fortresses no one could breach. Every scar became a blueprint. Every betrayal became a lesson. Every lonely night became a quiet reminder that survival isn't always loud. It's sometimes built in total silence. Sigma males didn't become who they are by following society's handbook on manhood. They became who they are because life forced them to grow up early, trust sparingly, and think independently. Where most people are still seeking validation, they're seeking clarity. Where most people drown in noise, they build in solitude. And maybe that's the part that confuses people most. Sigma males don't hate the world. They've just seen too much of its games to play them anymore. They walk alone not because they can't fit in, but because they've found something more powerful. Peace without permission. Their childhood wasn't fair, but it was honest. And from that honesty, they carved a life no one else owns. They don't need rescuing. They don't need applause. They don't even need understanding. They've already built what matters most. A mind no one can conquer. If this message hit you deep, if it made you rethink what strength really looks like, then don't keep it to yourself. Hit that subscribe button and join a community that cuts through the noise and speaks the raw truth about life, power, and independence. Like this video if it sparked something real in you. Comment below and share your thoughts, whether you agree, disagree, or have your own battles to speak on. And most importantly, share this with someone who needs to hear it, because some people are still waiting for the world to save them. Maybe this is the message that wakes them up. Stay sharp, stay aware, and I'll see you in the next one.